Welcome to Grave Overload. I'm Anthony, and AMD's EPYC Rome has been fully announced, and it is swinging for the fences. AMD EPYC Rome event was last week, and I was out of town, so then now I'm back in. I was reviewing everything over while I was out of town, and it's been really impressive what AMD has been able to come out with in their EPYC line. I actually see this as the more impressive part of the entire Zen 2 release. Now, who knows, maybe the laptop is going to have another great release on top of it, but between desktop and server side, AMD really needed to come out on the server side and show, hey, we're able to compete and really show we are committed to this market going forward. Desktop side, they had a lot of momentum, and Zen 2 was just a step over the top for them to really close that gap and make them very comparable to Intel in gaming. Now, with Zen 2 architecture out in the AMD EPYC Rome processors, they have really closed the gap and exceeded it in many different ways, right? They have a 64-core, 220-watt processor for their top-line part, and if you put that in a dual server configure or dual socket configuration, you have 128 cores, 256 threads right there in one system at 220 watts per CPU, 400 total. That can really reduce a lot of cooling and kind of compact, or not even compact, but expand out what you currently have for processing power, etc. There's a lot of industry partners out there: Google, Twitter, etc., Cray, HPE. Dell is talking about, Lenovo's now talking about it as well. There's a whole bunch of server companies out there really starting to talk about it, put it out there. Google with their cloud, they're going to be having AMD EPYC Rome stuff and really pushing this envelope forward. Obviously, Twitter saw something for them to put it in there. They also talked about basically keeping the same footprint as well as and having more processing power in that. And there's going to be a lot of opportunity here too for storage, right? You got PCI Express 4.0 on these chips, and storage becomes very, very enticing to use these chips as well on. Yes, there's probably still a market for Intel side stuff, but AMD is making it so, and the prices of these from everywhere down to an 8 core all the way up to a 64 core, with the 64 core has an L3 cache of 256 megabytes for one chip of L3 only. If you could put two of them, that's a half a gig of cache between two processors. And basically this is just a huge amount of processing power that Intel right now doesn't really have anything in that area, right? They did I was looking at Serve the Home, Anantech, and Phoronix. They're doing some of their stuff and some of their reporting on these chips and some of their testing of it. I recommend you go check them out as well. And they did an amazing job just rounding out, but they put a quad socket Xeon in there just to compete with AMD side stuff. And that is what was really impressive with me. If you're looking at some of these chips and for your server side stuff, or for what you're going in, be interested in it and give it a shot to see what it is. One thing that I was concerned about is this another Opteron thing, right? That's going to be sitting in the back of your head of, is this going to continue, right? AMD did get out of the server market just because they didn't have anything that can compete, and where's that going to go? So Mark Papermaster, I believe it was up on stage kind of talking about where this is going. Zen 3 design is done. So that means it's all in the finalized stages, probably, I'd say about a year out, or so, give or take, Q3, Q4 next year, probably sometime. And even, rumor has it elsewhere is that's what it is. 2020 Zen 3 design will be out. And this is just showing that they're committed to making sure servers get upgrades over time. And they will not just drop out of the market. They even said that the Zen 4 is in design. So that is now being in design. One thing I really like them to even expand on more, maybe I'll do a video just on this, is AMD's leapfrogging teams, right? They do leapfrogging teams so that they have one design and getting that all complete, while then the other ones, and while this is done, then they leapfrog each other. So that's how, so Zen 1 was here, then Zen 2, then Zen 3, then Zen 4, and these teams just keep on leapfrogging, which is, I thought that might be a little bit of a detriment, but AMD has figured out a way to really maximize their efforts so that they stay on their cadence which is something maybe Intel needs to take note of, is how to stay on a roadmap and a cadence. This is going to give the server guys, yes, they want to see some stuff, but if you look at maybe if they keep pressing forward and these Zen 3 and Zen 4 jumps are, impressive, they don't have to be as huge. They just need to be impressive, right? They just need to show, hey, we're committed to the market, and same socket, you can upgrade. Maybe not, right? But I could even see them sticking with the same socket so they have multiple generations. Server guys, well, they do that. They swap out stuff, and this could be a great upgrade path for them. And with the results that Serve the Home and Antec and Phoronix and all our benchmarking sites out there are doing, it is impressive. Yes, you want to run AVX 512? Yeah, Intel right now is the only person in town that has it. So that's where you're going. But for everything else, AMD is showing that they stepped up to the plate and they showed, hey, look at this product. We're going to make this product so attractive that if you look at Intel and their Xeon side stuff, it's going to be hard to move over because we're going to have at a price point with power consumption and everything else, the total cost of ownership is going to be way more attractive for you. And that's what they're doing here. So kudos to AMD on what they did. I'm very impressed by it. At the same time, I want to touch on Intel a little bit, and then I'm going to touch on a little bit about security. Intel released a 56-core CPU, right? And Intel's 56-core here just looks like Intel wanted to get a high core count CPU out. What is it, about 400 watts they're saying? Like, Intel, I would have rather you stayed back, put out the effort to really show off your quad socket and how it competes, get the power down on it, instead of just throwing something out there that you're trying to get stick just to say, I have a high core count part. It seems a little weird here, Intel. Yes, we understand you are struggling right now with a 10 nanometer. You're starting to get that out. The 14 nanometers maxed out. Yes, you're selling a lot of CPUs because you have to, right? All these old Intel server farms are trying to make up to the compute power because of security flaws. That's happening, right? You're selling a lot, but just throwing out 56 core, it just seems kind of like, oh, you're trying too hard and you're not hitting the point of what we really want, which is you to go through and really just focus on getting back into the game, and so that we have competition there, which I'd rather see you do. Now, on the security side of things, there was new Spectre-like vulnerability out there. It is already patched in Windows. I guess that's really the only place it was. So that's already patched out when this was released, but it was another Intel-only security flaw out there, and AMD was kind of immune. However, these chips now, like the AMD EPYC Rome chips here, are coming with more hardened stuff against Spectre, which they had, and so it's going to be even harder to do those attacks, which is great that they're working on that. Intel's also been porting that stuff into their new architectures here, so time will tell. Hopefully Intel takes some of the tidbits that AMD's doing with how they're architecting the teams, how they're hitting the roadmaps, and be able to do that into their side of things. They have Jim Keller, they have Raja Kodora, and a lot of their stuff. They put threw all this money around to bring all these partners or people in to really boost up their compute side. Let's see if it now is going to start executing here in the next couple of years. If not, if they're not going to stick with a roadmap or don't really have one, that's going to be cause for something to concern. So hopefully Intel comes up with here what's in design, what's really coming, when is it finished, stuff like that, to see that roadmaps here is there. Because again, the server side guys want to see that roadmap. I also do. And if you're not going to put that out there, Intel, to see what's really coming, it's going to be really hard for a lot of people to really stick by you, and they're going to lose faith in it. So let's solve that, Intel, and get it out there. But overall, AMD EPYC Rome was so far, it seems like a knock out of the park. Leave your comments below what you think have been going on here with the AMD EPYC Rome launching off here and getting out into the wild. It's going to be fun to see what they're all able to do. So leave your comments below. I'd love to read them and see what your thoughts are as well. But until next time, God bless, and don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.